Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Electrodoc, straight in there. Look. Afternoon, Richard, or Electrodoc, I should say. I have just spoken to Paul regards you joining our conversation shortly, so that's all arranged. But, ladies and gentlemen, you would not believe it. Not only do we get the pleasure of Paul Burgess today live, he's going to explain why he left Advance UK, because I don't know. It's strange. But how are you, Paul?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm nice and free, as it were. Yeah, I'm fine.
Excellent, excellent. Well, the first question is like, even we said it in emails, we need to know who is Paul Burgess and how did he come to where you literally are today?
Okay, I was a water resource engineer and environmental engineer. So I, in the 1970s, developed models for forecasting droughts and forecasting floods and meteorology. I was in charge of the planning for the whole of Wales of water resources, and sat on government committees, that sort of thing, way back in the 70s. I'm 81 now, and so I've got a background in modelling. I actually discovered the sun cycles in river flows and things like that. All balmy scientific stuff, but I had to do it in real life. The difference between an academic, which I don't call myself, and an engineer is I have to take the science or create the science and make it work in real life. So, it really does. What's a 1 in 1,000-year flood? What frequency of droughts are we going to have? What water restrictions are we going to? All those are real things. So it's from that background. And in the end, I actually was quite a rebel then, I suppose, and I left the water industry. And I think when I left, I was the highest paid for my age in the British water industry, and in my field anyway. And I went into my own business, and I don't want to go into that. I was in my own business. I did very well in that for a number of years. And then came the beginning of the destruction of the UK. So I got involved. I've always been involved in politics, but I got involved in immigration in particular way back. And I did a lot on not GB News, on LBC radio. So I was a regular on LBC radio. And they even used to phone me up beforehand and say, can you come on? Because, it's a phone in, but come on. And they'd phone me to come on. So I got involved in politics and that. But part of it was the net zero and global warming, as it was called then, because it was a total con. And I got involved in there quite heavily. And then I got upset with LBC, quite frankly, and I then left that, and I actually joined For Britain with Anne-Marie Waters, and that party folded. I was the environmental spokesman for that. That party folded, and then I'm not interested too much in which party. I'm only interested in the effect. I'm only interested in what actually happens out there. And there's particularly the policies. So many years ago now, I started a YouTube channel. But before that, I had lots of videos I was making because I used to make documentaries and other things. So I made videos about climate change. I've got about nearly 300 of them on my YouTube channel now. And so it isn't just the climate; it's all very much the technology. And what we're facing, and exposing the constant stream of lies from our government, and just literally adding 2 and 2 together, you can prove the lying. So my job was to take all the science, take all the technology, and simplify it for the public. Yeah. So that's how I became. That was my raison d'etre. That was how I became a more of a public figure. To me, it doesn't matter who I am. I'm just a conveyor of information, if you like, and so I don't like people who say. I mean, I object to people saying I'm brilliant. Some people do, but it doesn't matter. I'll tell you now, the average ordinary working person in the street, as it were, has got common sense, and if you can explain your science to them or your technology to them and why it's wrong, if you have that opportunity, they'll see it straight away. You don't have to be clever to understand this. And so most of my work, to me, is not clever. I have done some clever work recently because, believe it or not, I recently did the work of my lifetime in a paper, which I've now got lots of follow-up papers, and a video. And what I've done in that is I've explained the entire history since 1983, every year's temperature in the world. So I've explained precisely how the temperatures came about. Yeah. And mainly caused by the way, the main cause was the pulsing of the oceans, because the oceans hold 1,000 times more heat and all that. But the precision of this work is what I'm really concerned with today. And the work actually puts a coach and horses through things. And it's quite funny because there's the two sides. There's the climate alarmist side and there's the climate realist side, which I belong to. And sometimes when you do work, it comes in the middle because people get involved in all the detail of the science, and you do a job that just explains it in one go, bang. And then you find yourself with no friends. You barely know mates then. It's quite funny. So I mean, that's my background. And I'd arranged to have a podcast with Ben Habib, and that was in about 3 or 4 days. And when the party opened, he opened the party. And so the very first thing I did is always told my viewers I won't belong to any political parties again. And then I went on and said, well, I've joined Advance UK because I was so taken by its principles, and I'm very about principles with this, and that's why I joined Advance UK, and then I became a college member of Advance UK, which is meant to be a college of people independent of the executive, actually with the power to sack the leader even, yeah, but independent of the executive. That's very important. And also as an embryo, a place where policies can be evolved from. So policy ideas come, they can put them forward and so on. And so it's meant to be a collegiate college where you all cooperate together, but you form groups to have policies, yes, develop policies and so on. So that's how I got involved in Advance UK. And that's the story of me and Advance UK. So I brought you up over about 50 years of history there.
That's it, 50 years in 5 minutes. Like, wow. What is, like, regards obviously the world of politics? I mean, I'll be honest, this is all new to me. I'm like you, I've never in my life been sort of affiliated with anyone or anything to do with politics, because I always feel like I'm being duped. Like someone's going to lie somewhere, and I'm going to feel like, you know, I take it personally. So I just like stay away from it. But have you always sort of been like up to it with politics? Like, you know, looking at, I assume you vote every year, do you?
I do, yeah. Well, every vote, I never discard a vote because that's the only power we really got in the end. And you should always vote for the nearest thing to you. The nearest. You're never going to get it perfect. Just vote for the nearest, because then you'll shift the thing your way a little tiny bit. That's what it's all about. And my interest in politics started in 1956. I was 11 years old at that time, and I remember buying the Daily Express, then my first paper, and it was about the Suez crisis, where we actually put troops into Suez to take the canal and all that. And that was my start. And I've been interested in politics all the time, but there's a difference between being interested. I'm interested in what the effect is. I'm not interested in the posturing and all the things go on with it. So I've always been I'd rather be a backroom boy developing ideas than anything else. Yeah. But because of my work, I've appeared in, Andrew Bridgen invited me to speak in a committee room in Parliament, which I did. I've appeared in the Romanian Parliament. I was invited to speak there in their Parliament building. That's the biggest Parliament building in the world, that one. And I go and give talks and pioneer campaigns in places like Jersey, Channel Islands, or in Isle of Man to stop the madness that people are trying to do there. So I'm all about protecting the people from the madmen who run us, basically. That's it.
That's fair enough. Were you ever attracted, shall we say, to the Reform UK and Nigel Farage, or do you just see him as what people call a bit of a snake in the grass?
All right. I don't like getting involved with people because I always try to stick to the ideas. Unfortunately, I have been heavily involved. Yeah. I was on a UKIP committee in the referendum time. And because of what Farage did within UKIP to our committee that was in Brecon in Wales at the time, so in mid Wales, and I was on the committee, and what Farage was doing was so deplorable that, long story short, we ended up as a committee. I appeared on television with the chairman seeking people not to vote UKIP. So the entire committee, the entire UKIP committee said, don't vote UKIP, because if you know what we know, you wouldn't vote for it. So that was, they went against principles again, I'm afraid, big principles. So I'm not good. We're not going to have, it wasn't just me, the whole committee went. And so that was my brush in with Farage. But I then have to take a step back. It isn't, I don't see the world as black and white. So you have to take a step back. He did marvelous things in the referendum. And he has been consistent on certain things. I wasn't too happy with reform. Today, reform is still, despite all the promises, basically owned by two people. So all that were empty promises given to reform members. So I don't like things like that. So I'd never intended to join reform. And because I'd been before Britain, they wouldn't allow me in anyway, by the way. But I wouldn't have joined anyway. I was staying out. I'd said to my YouTube followers, I'd say, not followers, the subscribers, I don't anyone to follow me. You just look at the evidence and decide. I actually said I would never join another party. So I broke my word. And when I did the first interview with Ben Habib, I actually said to everyone, sorry, I've broken my word because these principles are so attractive to me. And we're going to have a party based on principles. And that was really important to me. And so that was the start. And then I did a lot of videos where I encouraged people as part of my work, always join Advance UK, because if you want to change the thing in the end, you've got to vote. I mean, I like Rupert Lowe a lot, but unless you can vote, you're not going to change things.
Very true, very true. So you joined Advance about 5 months ago. So
when it first opened,
yep, and then like you said earlier, it's like they talk the talk, but did not walk the walk. Would you like to expand on that?
Fine. Well, the best way I can explain is to explain why I left. Right. So what happened was,
that's what everyone wants to know.
Okay. So they have a bloke. You've got. I'm a college member. Okay. Now we're meant to be independent of the executive. That really is important. But they have to have they had an executive chap, David Rhodes, who then organizes the groups for policies. You've got to have some structure to how you develop the policy, which I totally agreed with. When he was doing the structure of that, he asked me for any comments, and I said, well, when each group, like they take a group on immigration, when they develop policies, they should put them out to the rest of the college, so the college can say, well, that's good, that's not. Some people would not be interested. Some people would say, have you considered this? Are you with me? So in other words, a bouncing of ideas, what the whole college is about. And he actually put that out. That's what we'll do. Yeah, he actually put that out. That's a good idea. So that's where it was. So I joined what they call the energy group. Now, I wasn't happy with that because they wanted to call the net zero group. But I was quickly finding out that we're being dictated to. So if I ever, even the last meeting I had with them not long ago, before I resigned, why aren't we called the net zero group? We've got to remove net zero. No, it's energy. Don't even discuss it, Paul, sort of thing. No time. So there's no discussion. There's nothing like that going on. It's being imposed to a very strict system, which I didn't like. But, that's life. And so you've got these things. Now, what I've got to do is start at the beginning of my problems. Yeah. And when I joined the energy group, right, I realized, and I'm not being rude here, but I realized I'm the only one who understood the subject. I mean, these people in the group were good people. No, I'm serious. No, I'm really serious. And great people on the group who wanted to finish net zero. Yes. And they wanted that, but they didn't have the background knowledge, as it were. So I thought it'd be a good idea. And we have a Dropbox to drop things in, and we have a WhatsApp group just for that group. Yeah. So I was posting papers and things. So I was trying to explain that net zero is much wider than just energy. Yeah, but I wasn't being allowed. So straight away, couplings were coming on, constraints were coming on to the college members You can't discuss this. This is not negotiable. Was coming on right at the beginning, and that was a warning sign to me. And then I posted some things, and right at the beginning, I said, science is only going to be about 5% of this. Yeah, 95% of what we do will be about the net zero madness in detail, how it affects people, etc. But it's best to get a good start so everyone to start. So I wanted to explain something. And what I wanted to put forward was that a lot of people don't understand this, but with CO2, which everyone goes on about, my side says there's going to be 1 degree centigrade warming. If you double it, that's how much you get. And that could take 175 years, by the way. And the other side agrees with that. Now, I wanted to explain that to everyone, both sides. No one's arguing with that. So why are they saying it's more? Well, they're saying it's more because the 1 degree causes more water vapor, which causes more heating, which causes more water vapor, which causes more, and it's called a positive feedback, like a runaway explosion. Yes? And that's wrong, by the way. So the difference is that it's not what the doubling of CO2 is by CO2 itself. So I thought if I could give background. So I also put papers in there and things in there that were fundamental. And what the biggest one I put in, which I also published, was one explaining what the problem is with net zero in Britain. So it actually explains, and I can explain it in about 2 minutes to anyone, what we're facing as a problem. Because if you're going to solve a problem by getting rid of net zero, you've got to understand what the problem is, and they didn't. And to put it in a nutshell, the problem is we are ramping up wind and solar like this, way past our ability to even use it. And then they're saying, oh, well, that difference is a full price, by the way. We're not getting cheaper, but that will store it with hydrogen. And that's not possible. It's 17 times the cost of the energy, the gas. 17 times. And if you argue it's 12 times, it doesn't matter. If you argue it's treble, it doesn't matter. But it's 17 times. So you've got to then, how are you going to stop this madness? We've got 20-year contracts being pushed out by Ed Miliband. How are you going to stop that? And so we have to deal with the real world. You see, that's why I don't like being called an academic. I'm not. Even though I write science papers, I'm not academic. It's all about getting something out. So we've got to understand this. Now, I'll give you one example of how we have to control it. If we just try to cancel the contracts, like Reform was saying, yeah, you'd be held up in courts all the time. There'd be non-stop court. It's not practical. But there are practical ways of doing it. There are. And I was trying to, so I was trying to give background. And I was getting no questions to my papers. So I was posting videos. So I started the one video and I thought, if I explain it to the group, and I thought, well, I'll give this to everyone, obviously. So I put it on my YouTube channel, but I put it in the group and I said, actually, this was designed for you. So if everyone can understand this, we've got a good start to it all. No one even asked me a question. No questions. So there's 5 or 6 people in the group, no questions, nothing coming back. I call it the black hole. I live in a world where my work inside Advance was more of a black hole being fed in than the black hole in space. Nothing comes back, as it were. And then the very first big step was a chap on there who was an academic from Cambridge, who, and I'll be blunt about it, there are people who don't know enough to know they don't even know enough. Are you with me?
Yeah.
But they don't know enough to know. No. And he's in that situation. So he'd come up, well, no, come on. So he said, he said something, Paul, he said, Paul, you can have your theories, but none of them will ever end up with a policy. Now, I've got that in writing, yes? To which I replied, well, number one, who are you? Who are you to tell me that? And I thought we were here to discuss policy. It can't be pre-decided, yes? And I found out later that basically he was leader of the group. But in this lack of transparency in advanced world, you don't know who's who. They won't even tell you who are members of which group, by the way.
Oh.
Right. So I'd like to know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll come to that. So I really got upset with this. Yeah. So hold on here. I'm being told I'm in a group and people are telling me no matter what I do on this, it won't end up as policy before we've even discussed it. That is not the way this college should work. So I thought, well, I'll tell you what, I'll appeal to the college. So we have a main WAG where everyone's on. Yeah. A main WhatsApp group. And so I posted just the video there, just the video, which said and explained, let's get this the most basic thing. What are the differences between the two sides? because lots of things flow from that. Are you with me? And immediately, I had Ben Habib close me down, stop the WAG. You can't do that. That's wrong. It's the wrong place to put it. Don't do that. Unbelievable. So now the leader, Ben Habib, had actually interfered with the work of the college. Number one, breaking the constitution, by the way, right? Number two, he'd been told, because he doesn't follow it. He can't be expected to following all the chat that goes on in that WAG. And he just reacted to what he's told by the people around him, who are, some of the people around him are absolutely ridiculously bad in terms of understanding principles. So I got closed down. Well, I almost resigned. And I spoke to some really good college members I respect, who are outside my energy or my net zero. And I explained to them I'm on the point of resigning at this point because I can't speak. I haven't got freedom of speech. I've got the principle of the college being broken. I'm in a group which is being directed and controlled in an extreme manner, to me, my view, by an officer, by a member of the board. This is not what it's about. And so what I did was I contacted Ben Habib before I resigned. And I came to the conclusion that he didn't understand anything. He just acted on what he was told to do. Yes? So they determined to close me down so much that not only were my things not going to be policy no matter what, but also on that. And that's bad. Yeah. But I came to the conclusion he made a mistake. And I actually said, I'm going to put this down to you making a mistake and carry on. So I then knuckled down to try to work within the group. And we only had 2 meetings from the total time, by the way. And at one time, the chap who heads it, head policy head, not the leader, he's the chairman. In each group, you'd have a chairman and a leader. And they didn't even tell me the bloke who was telling me this was the leader, by the way. You don't know that. You just have to assume it in the end. And he actually phoned me at once and went through some details to say, have I got this right? Have I got this right? And we went through. I thought, that's good because, I was able to correct the mistakes. And he said, I don't want to say anything wrong. Fine. So we went through it. So there was recognition of that role. And things were just being discussed and get nowhere. I mean, left with this other leader, not the chairman, the leader and me to discuss afterwards, as it were. So that's what happened. And that was continuing. But then the time came for the party to announce the big thing in London on the 7th of February, the announcement of the immigration policies that they developed so far. Yes? So I asked 2 questions in the WAG. Now, this is perfectly reasonable. I asked, and this is really important, this part, and this is the end of Paul Burgess on advance, by the way. I asked, why has there been a change of policy so we're not being told before it goes public? Why can't the college members have a chance to see these policies before it goes public? But more importantly, so the question was, why change the policy? Yeah, no answers.
Yep.
So, and the people around me knew the answers. The worst about this is I was Billy No Mates, just asking questions. The people around me knew. And the second question was, I stated, I don't want to know the policy at the moment. I'm asking that. So I've asked why the change and why is it so secret? So they were the 2 statements. Questions. I also made a statement. I said, I think it'd be a really good idea for everyone in the college to know which college members belong to which group. Yeah, which policy group. So we can say, I know you're in education. I've got an idea in education. Is this being dealt with? You can have a chat in a collegiate manner with other college members. Yes? So that's it. Right. So asking 2 questions and making that statement, I was told by the advisor, I think her name is Floss. Oh, I was Floss. She's an advisor to Ben Habib. And she told me, we'll open up a separate WhatsApp group for this. Don't like this here. Now, why not? Because lots of other discussions go on, right? And there was a discussion going on about media. And I said, no, because this issue is the relationship between all the members. It's the only place where all the members are, all the college members. This is the college members. And it's about that. So I have to stay on this. Do you know what happened then? Ben Habib stepped in, froze the group, bang, and he said, some members, Paul, basically, Paul is not following the Constitution. So by me asking those questions, I'm not following the Constitution. That's it. Now, I don't mind being run over by the bus once with Ben making a mistake. But when he reverses over you, I don't want to know anymore. So I resigned from not the party. I resigned from the college. I actually said, I still want to help the advisor. I'll help as an advisor, but as regards the politics, now I'm finished, you know. And he accepted my resignation straight away. And then in what followed, I did conversations with him after that. And he said, I haven't got time to read it all. So I said, but the wag, you know, and basically he's talking the talk, but ain't walking the walk, and he ain't a leader. And if he's listening to the people around him, yes, like he is, they're doing silly things, to put it bluntly. They're completely out of their depth, right? So I then had something else going on. The things that so I was now out, and then something else happened, and we tried. Let me explain something else. Having a conversation with Ben, he didn't see the economy as a prime thing. Well, I do, because my work isn't just net. I've been in business all life. I see the economy, and I wrote papers on the economy, which I can happily talk about. Very simple. Basically, the thrust should be to grow the economy. We want to make the cake bigger. And so let me give you an example of that. Inside the energy group, they came up with, let's drop the 5% VAT on the fuel that you charge at home. Yeah. So I said, no, we as an individual group can't do that, because that's going to cost 2.3 billion. And that 2.3 billion could be spent better elsewhere, but that's not for us. Now, let me give you an example. If you drop the price just because we're cherry picking, we want that. Yes. If you do that, that money could build 2.5 gigawatts of firm power. Right? So why drop something that'll make the problem worse, increase demand, when we haven't got enough and we're heading for blackouts? What we should be doing is putting the money, if we're going to put money into anything, into making sure we don't get the blackouts. All right. So and so I want to form a group. I'm not form a group. I want to be on a group. I didn't want to lead it, but someone else did. Another college member did. I'm not going to name. Okay. And a very good man. And see, he said to Ben, we've got to do the economy, because it's fundamental. And Ben's attitude seemed to be, well, we'll get all the costs out the way of leaving all these institutions before we deal with the economy. Too bad. Let me tell you, with the Titanic sinking, the water, the bow is underneath the water. That's the economy. And what they're doing is arranging the bloody deck chairs. They're not dealing with why it's sinking. And you've got to deal with why it's sinking. I put a plan forward, and a model forward, and only for discussion. And what it did was it created a tax environment that had to be paid for. So we have this huge net zero saving to be done. There are savings to be done, which is a lot of detail to go into, but I know we can save huge amounts of money. Now, on those savings, how are we going to use them? We use them to grow the economy. So my plan was to drop, I'll tell you now, part of it was to drop corporation tax from 25 to 20 straight away, and then 1% per year for the next 5 years, taking us down to 15%. Now, actually, that reduces prices for everyone, by the way, because don't think that business taxes don't affect the price you pay. They do, right?
Sure.
But at the same time, to increase the tax threshold to 15, and for that to grow £1,000 a year. So after the 5 years, you'd have the corporation tax at 15, you'd have the income tax before you paid it at 20,000. Yeah. But in addition to that, stop all overseas aid except for emergency overseas aid, because we're borrowing, they give away. And I did all that. And what I ended up with, and lots of other things, but what I ended up with was a growth in the economy of 4.5% a year in 5 years. I ended up with a booming economy and a place that was the best business place in the developed world for coming to do business. Right. That is important. I've already done something about the slicing up of the cake with the tax threshold. So I did all of that. So I want to discuss this. And so other people knew that about me. And so they wanted to form a group, which wasn't even considered important. You know, it's the number one group, really, the economy group. I wanted to call the strategic economy group. And so that person phoned up Ben and said, we need to do this. And he said, well, you lead. Will you lead it? And he said, I'll lead it, providing Paul can be an advisor, because I've left. I'd left at this point. And so he phoned me up, will you advise? And I said, I'd love to. But if we're going to advise, I'd like to tell everyone in the college to get a principle established, which is the focus has got to be on growth rather than dividing the cake, because all we're doing is dividing a smaller and smaller cake. And Reform had made a major mistake in saying, we're going to raise a tax threshold to 20. That is just cherry picking. So I don't want, and I know the energy group now will be putting forward one-line policies and things, nice little simple policies, a bit like children in a playground, given how you're going to run the economy, kids. Well, I want all the chocolate. I want chocolate. And the girls will say, I want more chocolate, but I want them in blue wrap and pink wrappers. And you compromise with a blue and pink wrapper, and you don't worry about where the money's coming from to make the chocolate. Yes, they're literally like children policies. So for a policy to be a policy, it's not got to be a wish list. It's got to be how we change what's there. This is critical. We have to be the real world, changing what's there. What I found was, even today, as I understand it, my questions to the college, no one followed up on. No one knows except the energy group. And in that discussion, in that WAG, when I was asking those questions, two people made contributions. One of them was the one who told me your policies in the energy group won't come to, your ideas won't come to anything. And I thought, is he a member of the college group? So I then immediately put to everyone, I said, are you a member of the college group? No answer. So I'm in a world where Floss is trying to stop me, who's meant to be our media and PR person in the party. She's trying to move me off and get the subject off. I'm asking people and they won't answer. What world am I in? So people around me knew the answers and they weren't answering. And I'm asking simple questions. And if I can't do that, the party's not worth it. It's rotten at the core. I'm sorry, it is rotten at the core. And Ben Beebe cannot just wash his hands of it and say, I was told this. So I not only took the bus over you, Paul, but I reversed the bus over you. Yes. And that's what he's done. But there's another thing in Wales, of course. I can tell you now, I attended some meet and greet, and I think Richie and Rogue, who are doing the work in Wales, have done an incredible job. Right? And they've done it with the full support of Ben Habib and so on. He was asked to be leader, Richie. But not only that, the man is incredible. He's a dynamo. And they're travelling all over Wales. I actually did complain about them. I said, it's tiring to bloody watch them. They're putting so much into it. Yes? The energy they're using. I've watched handicapped people, on poverty level incomes come to the party and encourage, and support the party. Yes? And those people today are basically, they're being ditched. And they're being ditched because all that organization that's been built up has basically gone. I am not going to go into what I know about that because it's not my world to go into. It's up to Richie and Rogue to do what they want. Right? Yep. But it is not for me. So I'm here to just say I've been as honest as possible while I left. When you're in a world where asking questions in what's meant to be in a think tank, right? And how if people telling me that my policies must be ideas, when I joined the groups, then I would agree to democratically accept the thing and not moan about it. So I'd agree to that. But I just want to talk about it. Yeah, I don't want to be told.
Yeah, sure.
So on. Beeb wants.
You're cracking up. Not literally. I mean, your internet.
It might have something to do with me, actually, because I had this problem on his telephone. I've probably got a metal plate in my head that I don't know about, and I'm interfering with his signal. I don't know.
Right. So any questions? I'm for any questions from anyone. But I've turned to this guy, but it's an impossible situation for me because I can't talk. I'm in a sort of secret world. People won't tell me what they belong to. Yes, that is the world of Advance UK, side Advance UK. And it's not an acceptable world to me. So I removed myself. Why did I do this on my second video? I didn't do discussion. So I wanted to make it simple, because of their principles, and I've left because of the lack of them, is what I said. Try to leave it at that. Yeah. But then I think was the point, and subscribers I've got 22,000 odd subscribers. Here's me encouraging them to enjoy. You need more than that, Paul. I do a short text to explain it, which someone picked up and did a podcast on, actually, a very good one. And then I removed it because, not under no pressure, I removed that text because I didn't want the detail. But this is a much easier way for me to explain it live, asking questions in a conversation. I'm very happy to do that because I've got nothing to hide. I'm just about the truth. But the college is totally controlled. Why haven't the other college members come? They had one or two have, but there's all the college members. They've just left it. I don't think they know today what's being announced in public on the 7th, right? It's all secret, little groups, little power structures. I don't want part of that.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not is they're going to be announcing some kind of coalition with Rupert Lowe or anything like that. I don't know. But obviously, that would be a bit secret, I suppose, Paul. They were on the first on their first live. Their first meeting that they did. They were very, we had to wait and stop Tommy Robinson's page as well. Not page, sorry, Tommy Robinson's stage. That's what I meant. They were very secretive about that. It were all, watch this space kind of thing.
Sorry, I'm going to talk about immigration policies. We're not talking about those things which do have to be kept secret. We're just talking about immigration policies. I can tell you some of them now. And believe even the ECHR and things, they're pretty obvious. But why aren't they being? It's not to do with the big issues like the Rupert Lowe.
Yeah. See, they had you broke up again, Paul. Sorry if I'm talking over you, but they had issues, didn't they, with their venue last time? With people, the left were basically, threatening the staff, weren't they? I've forgotten whereabouts it was, but I'll following that with vigor.
It's true. I was there.
But you had to change last minute. So whether or not they've got to keep certain things quiet to not annoy the left, I don't know.
The location.
Yeah, location. And, and maybe even the subjects as well.
Yeah. About ideas they've developed inside the immigration group not being shared. And I wasn't arguing they should be.
Yeah.
Let's be careful here. I was saying, why is it secret? And why is there a change in policy? Those were the two questions. I wasn't even arguing with it. I wasn't saying they should be public or given to the college. I was asking questions, right?
Yeah.
That's all. And if you're in a world where you ask questions and you're meant to be an ideas thing, sharing ideas, then you might as well not bother being in it.
That's right. Yeah. Terrible. So
it makes no sense though, because everything Paul, and literally what you've just said there. I mean, surely, how would you not be deemed to be an asset too, rather than, because if you renamed energy as net zero, straight away that would have me looking at it. Because in my videos, I'm forever going on, whether I'm right or wrong, no one seems to correct me, but I'm always saying, like, the United Kingdom is 1% of carbon emissions. You can literally wipe us off the planet and it'll make no difference. We don't need electric cars. We don't need wind farms. We don't need solar panels. Is that right?
It's actually less than 1%, but that is a side argument. It's true. We make no difference what we do. But this another point, which is all wrong anyway. The whole CO2 thing is completely out of science. So there's two things. So what you can't say, and this is really important, you can't say, well, bad, CO2 is bad, so we can't do anything because it's bad, but we're only going to do less bad than others because a principle is conceded, and a principle that's wrong, scientifically and factually wrong, and therefore you've got to deal with that. But I actually did. We got agreement to say that CO2 is helpful. It helps the crops grow. There's enormous amount of information on that, And in any event, it's only less than 1%. You can say that, but you can't concede. See, if you concede like conservatives to say we'll slow down net zero, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. They'll say let's not do it by 2050. That is not the answer, because that's given in to the bigger argument. And it, look, there's a whole. I've got 300 videos on this, but again, these aren't the points we disagreed on. There was no discussion. It's actually, let's go to the next point. It really is not a discussion, and then you want to go into detail, and you even to get this, you should have an understanding underneath how you're going to implement that. Just to say, I want the box of chocolates, I was going to pay for it. They're like children. But they are. And I don't know the other are on immigration, one that's going public. I don't know what they are. You can get some of them, obviously leaving the institutions and that. But do the mission wrong. Should have benefits. All the policies should have, these ideas are going to save us this, these ideas are going to cost us this. The initial estimates, they'll be changed and evolved, but the initial estimates, none of that. Children saying, I want my chocolates, or, and that. No understanding of how we're created, and no understanding that if you're in the Titanic, you don't discuss, who's going to get the nice food in the ballroom, or, you don't just who's going to get the best bits as the boat's sinking, because that's what they're doing. So they're not dealing
right.
Even if you said, at least let's discuss it. There's no discussion. So it's nothing to do with secrecy, to do with better or anything like that. Secret. I would totally accept that. Nothing to do with the meetings. The meeting on the 7th, no one knows the location, because the left know the locations. They tried to stop us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was upset. I had to book 2 hotel early, and I wasn't going to get told. They weren't going to tell anyone until an hour before. And I college did find out, so I started to walk towards it. And when I got there, these fans and everything, and through the policeman, I said I couldn't get through. And he said, I said, is that? He said, no. So what's this? And he said, UKIP, the big UKIP one. So all the police and vans, no protesters were there. And he said, oh, well, you want to road 100 yards, and we were 100 yards down the road, and every man's just walked in without any trouble at all, because our sacrificial node was UKIP doing that, right? But when it came to the Welsh conference, they stopped us. They basically stopped us, and we had to make new arrangements and so on.
Yeah, maybe the
you're still cracking up a bit there, just so you know, because we're getting some bits. you went robotic for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Oh, did I? Right.
Yeah,
I think the climate people are watching you and blocking your internet, mate.
It won't be the first time we had a power cut last week, because it was we were talking about, we were moaning about electricity prices and things, weren't we, Wiz?
Yeah, and I've got a power cut.
Yeah, and you ended up getting a power cut on the sentence, like, so yeah.
So, Paul, if Ben Habib turned round to you and said, do you know what, made a mistake here, say he watches this podcast or video, whatever you want to call it, and he's like, oh, hang on a minute, I need to get hold of Paul, would there be anything in you to think, if he's going to listen and take forward and use your expertise, would you reconsider your position, or are you done?
I believe you said.
I already has said to me, let bygones be bygones, but that's not the point, because the fundamentals are not dealt with. So I'm back left in the same situation. And so the answer to it is it's done for me. It's done, absolutely done for me, because I've measured the quality of the people around me, including Ben now, right? And he hasn't kept to his principles. He's walked the talk and hasn't walked the walk. And that's, and the people around him, on that, the people around him are him, like, Floss goes off and says to him, come on and stop him. So they use the boss to stop him and questions. That's it. And sorry, those people can go away. I don't want to know, because they're little people who really will never change, because that's who they are. And that's how I feel about it. I'm angry about it, yes. And I'm angry more. I'm angry more for all the people in Wales who put all the hard work in, whose work seems to be just now. You know, branches being set up, chairman being appointed, all this going on. You know, that's gone. And the way you treat people, if you see people treating people, even though that's not, I live in Wales, but even though that's not directly yourself, you think, what sort of people are these? And I'm sorry, they're not my sort of people. So I'm absolutely 100%.
Yeah, maybe with the policies you were coming up with, maybe that was too close to the the establishment, if you like, the big brother above the government, if you like.
No, that's not correct. I wasn't coming up. We never got down to the policies. We established principles. We have never discussed the policies properly. Not properly. We have to rush through tiny things. No, there is no clash that way. There is no clash that way because there's put you in the straitjacket, so it's not net zero. And straight away that's wrong. I did a paper. I'll give you an example to try to get them to understand. They did a paper on the certificate you have to have for your house, a power certificate, energy performance certificate. And you can't rent the house out unless it's a C. You can't do this. The same for commercial factories. You've got to be that. You've got to be that. So I did a paper, and the cost of that over the next 5 years is between 30 and 50 odd billion pounds to the economy. Right? Wow. That cost also includes on a new house. You can't have cheap gas at 7 pence a kilowatt hour. No. You've got to be having electricity at 30 pence a kilowatt hour rising. Right? That's madness. So the 30 to 50 billion pounds from making that voluntary, the certificate. So if you sold your house, it's up to you whether you got one or not. But as soon as you make it voluntary, the whole thing disappears. But to do that, you've got to deal with all the consequences of it in the policy. And children will say, oh yeah, let's do that. Yeah, but they won't look how that affects it. So what I wanted was policies with headlines, by all means, but an understanding underneath. And so that I'll give you an example. Some of the policies I put forward, some of the policies that you're thinking of affect our free trade agreements. So if we change the net zero bit there, it disturbs our free trade agreement with, let's say, New Zealand or with the Pacific lot or with India. Yeah, because they've built in the cancer of net zero spread everywhere. And it's mastized, whatever we call it, everywhere. And we've got to get rid of it everywhere. They're not willing to do that. And the reason they're not willing to do it, they're not willing to do it properly, is very simple. They don't understand, but they think they know more than they do. And it's very dangerous for people who think they know a subject and they don't know. If they don't know enough to know they don't know. Yeah. And that's what I've got. There's no chance. I lost respect for all the people. I lost respect for those people. There are some good people in the college. I'm not arguing about some excellent people, really excellent people.
Yeah, well, maybe that's also encroaching on another policy, which is to leave the EU into it properly, to do a proper Brexit, and then we're under our own country's control, aren't we? Really? So maybe that was overlapping with that.
They do part of it. They do part of it, I think. But again, you're discussing policies. My issues aren't policies. My issues I've outlined today are nothing to do with policy. They're to do with the system of control and the lack of freedom of speech, the lack of independence of the college, a leader who stamps down on you and runs a bus over you occasionally, in front of everyone, of course, runs that over you occasionally, after listening to advisors like Floss, for example, who, I don't know, she seems to have a lot of power. I asked her, what's she got to do with it? I mean, why is an executive officer coming in to try to control me asking questions in the college? Answer that, And so all the things I've raised, nothing to do with that policy.
Yeah. Who's Floss? Because I've followed most of the the college members, etc. I can't remember. I can't recall a Floss.
I've been told. I didn't know who she was. I mean, she interviewed me to be in the college, and but she's a close associate of Ben. Been there. I think she led previous campaigns for Ben politically. Yes. And so there's been this association. And she's very powerful, and but she doesn't seem to understand the limits of her power. And I'm sorry, she has crossed me big time.
Yeah.
The only way that I got stopped by Ben is for Floss to have gone on to Ben. Ben, he's doing it, he's asking questions. Bang, stop it, Paul. That's ridiculous, right? And so I don't think Ben even understands fully what's happened. Even though I've tried to explain to him, I've sent him texts trying to explain. All I did was ask questions, and he was quite happy to say, "Let's bygones, bygones." But that's like not understanding what I'm about,
Right.
I'm sorry. It's not what you think it is. The college is not what you think it is, and it's not what's on the tin, right?
Right.
Yeah, not just the college, but the party. But the party is not what it's pretending to be.
Yeah.
Well, I've said a lot and shut you all up now.
I know, I'm literally, my brain is blown because I'm a bit like annoyed in a way because like I could see that you would be a benefit. And to have you now in the position where you felt you had to resign.
Yeah. We should really go.
I'm developing the policies anyway. I'm doing it properly. I'm not messing about with all this. So what you're going to see is a whole series of policies coming out from me, and anyone can pick any party anyone can pick up or pick the bones out of them, take the good bits about, do what you want. So I'm doing it independent.
Yeah, maybe your idea might be to join Restore and put your ideas forward there with with Rupert Lowe.
I'm a member of Restore.
Oh, right, okay.
I have contact. I'm a member of Restore, and I have direct contact with Rupert in a way. So no, that doesn't get the vote, does it? And so I haven't resigned. I'm still a member of Restore because Restore's just doing a good job making political points, as it were, with its grooming gang thing and so on. I totally support Restore. I totally support Rupert Lowe's work. Totally. Yeah. But that is not a political thing at the moment. It's politically what it does, but it's not. I'm not constrained by it in any way. But I'm not going to be constrained. I'm going to develop policies on energy and so on. And there are ways of controlling the wind industry after when someone takes power, using things that can control it and make it uneconomic to carry on without getting into court. And so I'll be putting forward all this, but it'll be researched in depth. So I'll do a video, and like a lot of my videos, I then do a detailed paper with the links on Substack, so you can go and watch all the 20 pages of detail, or you can sit and just watch the 10-minute video and tell you all about it, right? But the detail's important for people actually doing it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, only I know. Restore Britain. It's where any party can have a look at any of the policies in there, and then take them. So I thought that might be something that you might be able to do.
Well, Restore is focused on what Rupert's focused on at the time, and I hope he gets round to net zero. And if he does, I'll be there. He knows of me.
Good. We'd like to see you there.
I'd be there.
Yeah.
But that's not a party. That's not a party.
No, I know.
I wouldn't be in. I'd just be advising as an advisor. I'll advise anyone. I'll advise anyone. I mean, I've said to them, because I can't deal with these people in advance, I've said, if you put the policies forward, what you've got on energy and that, I'll happily, give me a write, I'll happily critique it and come back. So I've offered that. I'm not about me sort of cutting people off that way. I'm only about developing the right things for Britain, for the UK. That's all I'm about, right? And so anyone can do it. So if anyone wants me to advise, fine. When I have tried to help farmers, it hasn't worked because what's going on in farming hasn't worked because there's all power things inside that. So I watch Clarkson's farmer. And he tells you what's going on. And then when I try
and things, it's
when
ridiculous.
I try to help, someone's trying to stop some big wind farm developments in Wales, and there's about 12 or 6 groups or something. And I've said, I will help, provided you all come together, and then I will help. Because people on my side of it trying to stop it get all the facts wrong. I'll give you one example. Yesterday, there was someone going on, and they said, they did a podcast, and it was good. The right heart, the right thing, all the wrong information. They said, well, the wind farms in Wales in Carmarthenshire come to so many gigawatts, yes? And that's 4 times what Carmarthenshire needs. Well, they're wrong, because what they took was what they publish when they publish the wind is the wind providing is blowing perfect all the time, every direction, all the time, every second of the year. Well, it isn't. So you'd only take about 25% of that. Are you with me? So they were saying 4 times.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, they say. So they raise an irrelevant point to get the maths wrong and so on. Now, I'm a great person for getting all your maths right and everything and giving you the right arguments. Because when people say we can supply 100,000 homes, they can't. They can only supply, every time they quote that for a wind or solar farm, it's on the basis of this, that 80% of energy is coming from gas. So we can supply 10,000 homes, providing 80% of the energy is coming from gas. Well, that's not quite what the public think. They think they can supply the energy to 10,000 homes. Not, and actual fact, they can only do less than 2,000 homes.
They might even just be taking the power given out at the axle of the actual windmill. And I know we're being an electronics engineer. You got a lot of
no, they don't. No, it isn't. It's what comes out. They measure it as it's supplied to the grid. See, that's not right. They measure it as it's supplied to the grid. And they take the Ofcom basis. Now they're reducing gas as a whole in the next 4 years by 2030. Under Ed Miliband's plan to 5% of our energy will come from gas. But we have to keep the entire gas system there all the time. All the time. So we've got to have it staffed. We've got to have the wheels spinning to take it up, ready to pick up with the wind drops all the time. Right? So we've just got a duplicate system alongside our existing system. It is madness. It is bonkers on a scale which people don't understand. So if people cooperated together on the wind farm things, I'd be the first one there. And I've offered, but they don't come together. So it's lots of people doing power struggles. I'm not interested, right?
That's
where I am.
Yeah, I mean, the first ever stream that I watching for Advance UK, when they were looking for college members, they actually said, you don't need any what's it called? Any experience in politics, really, But it sounds like what you're saying. You kind of do. You still need to tiptoe around on eggshells, No,
it's a discussion within the college. I mean, it's good in a group to have people who believe in getting rid of net zero, which I had in my group. So I particularly some big name there, and he totally supported getting rid of net zero everywhere. I'm sure I know he did. He also knew that he didn't know enough. And now that's great, because if I can't explain to the layperson what the issue is and have a discussion, I tell you now, people who come to me with ideas and how can I put it, lay people, they don't know the subject, will often ask a really good question and get me to think. And a lot of my videos come from people suggesting that. So I should, if you like, as an expert, be able to explain properly, and so on. That's what we do.
I suppose really, if you're their spokesman for net zero, then you'd need that kind of background. So if anybody ever put you on the spot, you'd be able to instantly give them an answer, etc. So
I actually didn't want to be. I was not going to be the spokesman. Had it been successful, and we'd have come to the big announcements, which they'll probably do with their wish list, because it won't be a policy list, it'll be a wish list. In fact, I was actually going to decline being the spokesman, because all I'm about is getting the right policies. I was quite happy to let other people take the glory and everything. I'm not interested in that. I'm only interested in the policies. But if there were going to be questions from people on the subject, then I'd have to be there, because there's no depth of knowledge otherwise.
Well, you've got some endorsement from Jeff Redcliffe here saying, "Hi Paul, I've been following you on and off for some time, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk more sense than you." So there you go.
Thank you, Jeff.
There you go.
Well said, Jeff.
I've been listening to quite a few of Paul's video uploads. Yeah, very interesting. You seem to know your stuff, and yeah, that's what I say though. As long as they've got someone to fall back on who knows what they're talking about, then they're not going to sound like idiots, are they? And if you're there in the background, giving them advice, or even if you don't want to be a spokesperson, at least they've got, they're singing from the correct hymn sheet, if you like.
The people aren't big enough to do it. The people, will they actually send me their policies from the energy group and say, critique these? That'd be interesting. Are they big enough people to do
exactly. That's exactly why they might need you there, and to support the net zero nonsense that we need to get rid of.
I treat them no different to anyone else. Because I'm not about me being in power. I'm not about anything. I'm just about getting the right policies. So if any group want to contact me and say, and if you publish my YouTube channel, my email address, my public email address, if you give that, it's svsullier@gmail.com. If you give that one out, if any group, but they've got to be, if you don't approach me as a Facebook group on one wind farm with another 6 Facebook groups on the same wind farm, don't do that, right? Cooperate together and then say we've got to act together. Yeah. And that's how I work.
I see. Yeah.
I'm happy to do.
Yeah.
And by the way, I subsidize all my work. I don't make a penny from it. Not a penny. In fact, I lose money all the time. There's no income to me from this. The tiny thing I have in contributions, I blow. In one day, I'll spend £1,000. Even don't forget, college members aren't allowed expenses of any sort. So 2 days hotel, 2 days hotel, and 1,000 miles in travel. You look at £1,000, by the way. And so I do that all. I'm doing things like that. I never get a penny back, nor do I seek it.
No.
And
I do know that they'll do certain expenses, won't they? I was offered that if I wanted to open up a an MP hub, Advanced UK hub here. They said that they'd pay minimal expenses kind of thing.
Yeah, that's to do with the media, and that's not to do with the college. The college members, which I love this as a principle, can't claim expenses, and I think that's how it should be.
Right. Okay. And it's free to join the college, isn't it?
No, you have to be interviewed and everything.
Yeah, but it's free. It doesn't cost you anything.
No, there's no money. No.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you have to be. There's no money. No.
Yeah. No. And then what's the college structure like? Do you use like Zoom calls or do you email?
Yeah. You use Zoom calls for inside a group. They use Zoom calls, but the whole college, the whole group I was in, has only had 2 Zoom calls in all the time it's been going. But it's all done by Zoom call, yes. And then you have you have a WAG, so each group will have a WhatsApp group as well for that group. Are you with me? We can discuss things, and that's where I was on the WAG is where I was dropping information, and no one. I call it the perfect black hole, And by the way, at the end of it, all that idea we had for having an economic group, that was clamped down on because the person who was going to lead it wasn't going to lead it because they stopped it all, And the same people who stopped me just basically stopped it. Yeah. So that was it. And I wrote to Ben and just said, I'm resigning the party as well now. I'm out the party because I can't even work as an advisor. Without this bloody stupid politics going on. So that's it. I think Ensort has got to really take a think on what's gone on here. And I think you've got to think.
I think there's some teething problems going on from what you've said and what I can gather. I think it's teething problems. And if we can, I don't know, put some kind of pressure on to highlight this. I think that's something that might be able to do. We've got many more members. Hopefully, we've got many more members from the college and also just general members of Advanced UK. I think we've got Guardian Mo on tomorrow. Is that right, Wiz?
Yes.
Mo coming on tomorrow. Yeah. Got him coming on, who's a prominent YouTuber. I don't know if you know him or not, Paul. But yeah, it'd be nice to hear what he's got to say. And then we're also going to the upper echelons within Advanced UK. Basically the same way I managed to get you on here. I'll just send an email and see if anybody is interested in coming on. And yeah, thanks very much for your input.
Still talking to Paul Thorpe.
Yeah, and then we've got Paul Thorpe as well, hopefully, before I go on holiday. I'm going to Benidorm, so I'm hoping to meet him at some point during my holiday.
I've dealt with Paul Thorpe. He's a really, really good man.
Yeah.
I like him. So anyone who's got a question for Paul, jump in the chat right now.
Yes. By the way, Pouncy, Paul has got nothing to do with disability. I know you are interested in that subject, but I don't think Paul's the man to ask, really.
I don't know anything about it. Completely innocent.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to have to go higher up in the echelons for that one. I think it's probably going to be Ben Habib if we can get him on. I don't know if we can get a direct link or not from Paul. I don't know.
Well, what was the question?
If we could get maybe a Ben Habib's email, if we could get in touch with him, see if he'd be interested in coming on with the Wiz. Obviously, we've got a lot of users.
The question
Paul said he will want a head-to-head. So
yeah, the questions on disability. Yeah, so I think that's really going to be one for Ben Habib, really. So we won't mind getting him on that.
Don't forget we haven't got policies yet.
No, I know. No, that's all made in the colleges, isn't it? So yeah, I do know that, but I'd like to know.
There's only the energy group, immigration group, advanced education group.
Okay.
To my knowledge, there's only groups going out about 20 odd. So there's only 3 groups established as such.
I see. Right. Yeah. But just get Ben Habib's general idea on how he might think about that. I understand that it's all voting through on in the college and things like that. I understand that structure, but it'd be nice to know if it did land on Ben Habib's doorstep, what he might do about it if it was if it happened. Because there's a lot of disabled people worrying about things.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I mean, we want a caring society. But let me tell you this, unless we grow the cake, unless we grow the economy, it's going to get worse for everyone, including the disabled. Right? We've got to stop this now. This is the worst government in British history. Yeah.
Well, I think actually if we ditch net zero, we'd gain a lot more in the economy, and immigration as well would gain a lot more,
Yeah, we would. But it depends how you spend the money that you save. In other words, when you lower the money, if you just give it out, we're not going to help. That you've got to grow the cake, right?
Yeah,
that's really the principle.
Well, this is what I like about Ben Habib, him being a businessman. You see, I'm sure he understands it. I think he's our Trump 2.0, to be honest. I know you. I know you're having issues and things. You disagree? Okay, fair enough.
Disagree with that. Totally disagree with that.
Yeah. Right.
What about the ECHR, Paul? Good or bad?
Okay then. Bye. Okay, you were done?
No, ECHR. Was just had a question for you there. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm cracking up now. I can't hear properly. Oh no, I'm back.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Obviously,
yeah, I said ECHR. Is that good, bad, in, out?
It's bad. We've got to be out.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
It's a
shame that we agree on so much, but you're turning your back on Advance. I'm actually quite gutted, if I'm honest.
I'm not. No, I'm not. Yeah. No, I am not turning my back on Advance. I'm Advance.
As a college, I think.
No,
the weapon.
The Advanced Party has turned their back on itself and has breached its own principles and its own constitution, and is a fake as regards. It's a fake for what it set out to claim. It does not represent what it claims to be. And I've tried to explain that in principle all the way through. And it is not that. And that is the big sadness in me, that it's not what it claims to be and what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, nuclear as well. Sorry, Wes.
So I was just going to say,
Let me
even
explain
Dominic
nuclear.
Ford
Let me
says
explain
Ben Habib.
I can explain nuclear if you want. Right.
Yeah.
We all hear Rolls-Royce are going to get this nuclear thing in Anglesey. Yeah.
Okay.
So it came up in the group. I pointed out something. They said, "Great, we're leading experts in small nuclear reactors with Rolls-Royce." No, we're not. We're 10 years behind because they only make reactors for submarines, which use the uranium that you use in hydrogen bombs. Are you with me? Atomic bombs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they can't make. They'd have to start from scratch to make a commercial one, which operates on a much lower purification of the thing. And I looked at that. The cost of nuclear in Britain is the highest in the world. It's 4 times the cost of Korea. It's twice the cost of America, right?
Yeah.
So what we've just done is tell everyone you're going to have 4 times the cost for the next 50 years now from that. That is stupid, right? And there are reasons for it. You can put right, but it's too late now. Done. Right. And so the college the group I was in had to be taught. So I gave them figures and so on. And they said, what will your policies be? Well, I explained the policies. So it's those sort of things which people need depth on, because otherwise, another thing came up. Let's do it. This is British. Now I'll give you a question. If something that is British is going to cost you, let's say 4 times more for the next 50 years than the alternative, do you have a right to impose that energy cost on everyone?
Well,
do you?
I won't want to pay it. I've got it all on paying from it. I'm surprised the light bulb's still burning now. Surprised the electric meter don't want. Surprised the electric meter don't want topping up. Yeah.
You can't make a policy. Let's make this British without looking at what that means. And so that's what I mean. It's kids, it's children making headlines. Yeah, and that's what's coming out. I
see. Right. Yeah. So I mean, I know they do thorium reactors now, don't they? Where they're cooled by salt. So they've got.
Well, there's actually a British invention called a stable salt reactor, and what that does is the old nuclear reactors, the old ones we stopped, have got all this dangerous stuff in pools, glowing blue and things. It costs an enormous amount of money to keep all this waste. They take the waste that would last 1,000 years or something. They take that 1,000 years before it's safe, or 10,000 years, and they take it, process it, pass it through this reactor, and actually there's enough to power the whole grid for 400 years from the waste. Yeah. So not only it comes out as the 300-year waste then. Yeah. Before it, rather than the 10,000-year waste. So there's one plan from a British invention, SMRs, small nuclear reactors.
There you go.
There we are. So there's all these things. So people ought to have a depth and a width of knowledge when they're making the policy, so they get it right. But the fundamental policy is we've got to treat the customer, which is the British public, to give them the cheapest possible energy. And all the economies that you can actually correlate the cheap energy to the GDP. It's simple as that. Because if you've got cheap energy, everything becomes cheaper.
Absolutely, yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. I mean, Howard Cox, he had that 10 pence a litre fuel knockoff, didn't he? Where he knocked off 10 pence a litre for Howard Cox, that was. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Howard's a great man. Every respect for Howard Cox. And he's a man of principle. And he is, he's a really good man. And he's a hard worker. He's done so much for Advance UK, travelling everywhere. And so I have every respect for Howard. Yeah.
So so you're going to remain in the background and still be advising Advance UK. Have I got that right?
Not really. I mean, I'm advising anyone who wants to take it.
Anyone who wants to take it, including Advance UK. Yeah, I can get away with that.
In the meantime, while they're contemplating the neighbours doing wish lists like children, I want to develop the policy. So I'm going to actually start producing policies which are public. On YouTube.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you could let Ben know that, he
does.
I'm sure he does know that. Yeah. Well, I can't see.
Ben didn't want to lose me, but then I'm sorry, Ben, you didn't put the rest right, and I've lost respect for Ben. As a result, I'm being honest about it. I'm not messing about with this. I respected him so much, and the disappointment in me, having been through this, to lose. You've got to keep to your principles. If the party was about anything, it was about principles, and it hasn't kept to them.
Yeah, well, I think they might have tripped up just a little bit. I mean, we still love Advanced UK in here. It's got to be the best way forward. I understand where you're coming from. So we're still going to carry on promoting Advanced UK. It is a shame, yeah. But as long as you're
I understand. I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that you're willing to just say it as it is. You're open, you're honest. So, that helps, because otherwise people are always a bit cloak and dagger, and I'm leaving because no reason. What? But you've been quite open.
The cloak and dagger inside Advanced UK, the cloak and dagger is terrible. Are you a member of this group? I'm not going to tell you. I mean, that's ridiculous. What sort of world is that? The children's playground. I don't want to be.
Should be more open with things like
definitely.
that. I was trying not to do from another. I was trying not to do all, but I had to, because people would not understand why I've left, and I had a responsibility. People have said I joined because of you, and now you're doing this. I've got to answer them, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How this came about?
Go on.
Well, how this came about was Richard contacted me, and I gave him my number and said, I'll explain it privately to you, right? And that's how this podcast came about. And he said, will you do this podcast? I said, of course I will. It's a good way of explaining it. And that's it. And, the names of the college members, someone's asked, are they public? Yes, they're all published on the website, on the Advanced UK website. They're all public.
Yep.
But the people in the group, people belonging to the groups doing the policy, they don't tell the other people in the college.
Yep. Well, the only one I know of is Paul Thorpe. Yep. He's a good voice. I like him.
He's a common sense man.
Good show, Wizard. Yep. Paul's made this show today. He's been an absolute star coming on and being honest with us all, so it's all good. I'm ignoring any type of negative comments towards him, because we're not here for that. We're not interested. But it's up there if you want to read them, Paul. But I don't want to read them out, because they're just saying what does he know and this and that, and it's just common sense. You obviously do know, because you sat there and spoke for how long? Do you know what I mean? It's just like this. I mean, without any opposition, it's because I share the same view. I can't oppose something that someone's saying if I agree with it. Hence why it was going to be a good podcast.
Let me answer the one that's up on the screen. You two blokes are letting this run on and on to what he is saying. Well, all you're doing is finding out why I left, and the only person who knows that is me, right? Yeah. He couldn't wait to get this out on his own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I didn't even bother to stream it. So no. I'm gone. Advanced UK all the way. Well, that hasn't answered any of my principal points. That hasn't dealt with anything you've said.
Yeah.
See I'm very welcome to. I prefer to have opposition. When I give talks, I always want the people to oppose me to talk, to answer me back. I don't want yes men.
And that's exactly where someone would be stood if they knew what they were talking about, which is correct. Yeah. That's exactly what you wouldn't try and just smear the name or call them names, etc.
No.
Because you've got the answer already in here.
There we are.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I mean, we've tried to come up with solutions and tried to work out what the actual college membership entails and how it operates, kind of thing. I think we've got a little bit more of a understanding on that from our interview with you, which has been great. Thank you. So
now look, we get Alan saying never heard such a clear thinking member. See, because open-minded people relate with other open-minded people, and I think to me that's how Paul's come across. Open-minded, this is it. I'm not glossing it over. I'm not trying to say it I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. This is it. This is the fact. Boom, and that's what obviously people appreciate.
That's what's needed, isn't it? Yeah.
I am. I'm an ordinary. I'm a working class lad. I mean, my first home, we had 5 families in a 3-bedroom terrace. So, I know what poverty's like, believe me, and I've come from that.
Was it an HMO? Are you an immigrant?
No. Well, actually, in a way, the thing that made me was an immigrant. It was an army captain in the American army, because I'm a war bastard. I'm a war bastard.
Right, okay.
Born.
Yeah.
Are you with me? So I'm quite open about it, you know. My father was American and my mother was English.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about that until I was 44.
Didn't you?
Right.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you got one up on me, because
and-
I'm 49. I've never seen my dad, and I saw my mum for about 10 minutes, but she was watching telly. So I was like, wow, that's the end of that then. So I don't know what they are, who they are, what they're doing. So yes, when they say you're adopted, the grass isn't greener on the other side.
Yeah, we all
went out to get some milk. They went out to get some milk, you see.
It doesn't matter as long as you're open. As long as you're open. And before you came on, I sent you a quick email to say you can ask me any questions, and there's no restrictions, right? And that's how I operate with everything I do. And I'll give you a story now. My grandson, I've got 10 grandkids, and he was about 9.
Damn, I've got 9.
Said to me,
damn.
Right, and he said to me, "Oh, the coral reefs off Australia, the Great Barrier Reef, it's terrible." And I said, "No, all the scientific work shows it's actually the healthiest it's ever been whilst it's been monitored. The exact opposite." So I did a very short video on the Great Barrier Reef, and I sent it to him, and I thought, well, I actually published this as well, so I did put it on my YouTube afterwards. I sent it to him, and he watched it, and I said to him the next time I called him, because he's good distance, he's up in the Lake District, so I said to him, "What do you think?" And he said, "I was sad." I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I was wrong." And I said, "Well, that's good, isn't it?" He said, "No, it's not good being wrong." And I said, "So you'd rather be wrong the rest of your life than be put right, would you?" And he thought about it. I said, I've been wrong lots of times. And you've always got to be open about being wrong, and you learn, but you should never, ever worry about being wrong. And if you're going to go into a life where you don't risk being wrong, you're not living.
No, that's correct.
You're not going to learn either.
You're not going to learn. I was banned. I'd arranged in the Isle of Man it was quite funny, the Isle of Man. I went over with a pile of publicity, and the debating society in the school over there wanted me to debate climate change, but they couldn't find anyone to debate against me, because I find myself barely no mates with anyone trying to debate against me, by the way, in climate. And so I said, in that case, I will not teach the kids. I'm only going to appear alone. I will teach the kids about science. And one of the things about science is it doesn't matter who you are. All that matters is what you say, the idea, the evidence. Yes. And as an example of that, I took a clerk in an office who came up with a great physics idea. And I say, and the whole world turned against him. And it got some traction, his idea. So the scientist wrote a book saying he's wrong, and 100 signatures in the newspapers. This man doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just a blinking clerk in an office. And by the way, his name was Einstein, the clerk in the office.
Oh, yeah.
So, so who you are doesn't matter. And secondly, consensus doesn't exist in science. So when people say most scientists are on the 97%, which is not true anyway, but when they say that doesn't matter in science consensus. So I teach some fundamental. I teach them, and that's what I'd have taught. But the government stepped in and stopped me talking at the school. And then a few days later, they sent in people to teach all the kids about how scary the climate is. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the world I live in.
Yeah, I was watching something the other day. All right, it's fairly famous on the channel.
Yes, I was. Funny that.
I was watching something about pondweed. And it's able to produce. It basically doubles in size every day or something, 2 days. And
maybe in pondweed.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. No. Thanks for clarifying that, because you never know what you're listening to on YouTube nowadays, do you? So I just thought that. Sorry.
Well, you need to subscribe to Paul Burgess's YouTube channel. It's simple, isn't it?
Yeah. Then you find out. Yeah.
The question on screen. Yes.
Yeah, you have to ditch all the regulations. You have to ditch every aspect, and it goes through everything. It goes through education. It goes through. You've got to stop. I did a paper on how much it's costing us, which actually the group I was in took on board in the end, and it's costing us like between 770 billion to over a trillion a year if you allow for what we call the opportunity cost, where the money could have otherwise been spent. So yeah, it costs us a lot. You have to ditch everything. You have to take it out completely through everything, and the benefits are enormous. You know, we are suffering so much. You know what? In South Wales, they did away with Port Talbot steel, and then they do a subsidised cost to put in electric furnaces that can only use substandard steel. You can't use it for structural work or engines or anything, and that's electric furnaces. And then they give those electric furnaces a fuel source called electric, which costs 4 times more than the competition. So now they've got to make electric 4 times the cost of the fuel than the competition overseas. Well, that is a formula for only an idiot would set up a business that way.
Well, that's Miliband for you all over, isn't it?
He's the biggest idiot ever. I can't get over that man. He's a liar as well.
Yeah,
he lies about. He deceives. It's total deception what he's doing. You can take it apart in seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what Trump said, you know, drill baby drill. I mean, should we start uncapping our oil fields? Yeah,
we should start exploring.
Yeah, and I think advance for that as well, aren't they?
And we should frack as well. Actually, someone just put a point: transparency is integrity. And that's my problem, isn't it? Inside the party, transparency, right? Yeah. And without that, there is no integrity.
No.
I've come forward to this thing today on this. I've come forward knowing that you're Advanced UK. Are you with me?
Yeah.
I'm would welcome any criticism, right? Mm-hmm. Any criticism. And because
that's the reason why we had on as well. You know, I mean, if you said, no, I'm going to say what I want to say, and then you can't say anything to change my mind, which you're not that kind of person, are you? Then, you know, we would have probably been in an hour and about.
I'll tell you what, when COVID all was happening, and a friend of mine who was on my side with Net Zero on the phone, and she said, oh, the actual pharmacy companies are doing this. And I said, come off it. I think that's ridiculous. I think you're wrong. And so on, right? And then within the year, I'd realized she was right and I was wrong. So I phoned her up and I said, she wouldn't talk to me after that for some reason. And I phoned her up and said, I am totally in the wrong. Not 99% wrong. I'm 100% wrong. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's all I can do. So you know, I'm looking, I've just done a paper, the most important paper of my life's work, really, explaining all the temperatures every year. Yeah. Why this is a high year, why this is a low year, without all the man-made nonsense. And what I did, the paper's only about 5 or 6 pages. It's 138 pages in the end. And all those are proving how to prove me wrong. So I spent months proving me wrong. Are you with me? And I couldn't prove it wrong. And that's what you do. You spend ages trying to knock yourself down, because I knew they'd knock me down. And it was great because as they come up, they don't read it. So as they come up and say so-and-so, I'll say, no, it's already covered. That's been answered. That's been answered. That's been answered.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
So I have been wrong quite a lot. Yeah.
And that's what science is, you know, able to recreate and prove. You know, so then that's why you do mark your own work. You know, you double check yourself and things like that, just to make sure there's no holes in it. And then this is why I think you're going to be a terrible loss for Advance, but you are remaining as a voice to talk to, if you like. Someone will give feedback.
Well, I'm going to be publishing the policies I'd have come up with. So I'm going to be publishing. It's up to them what they do, right? Mm-hmm. It's up to them what they do. But I'm not stopping the work of trying to change the society and get rid of net zero totally, right? But I'm not going to be straitjacket and told I can't talk until the answers. You know, you say what you like, Paul, but it ain't going to be policy. That was a dagger through my heart. That was the opening dagger. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is not a this for discussion. And you can't respect people then who then I go back to them and say, who are you then? What are you, a leader or something? What's this? No answer. No answer.
Yeah.
Now that is disrespect. To me, that's disrespect. So I've been disrespected terribly, and I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm 81. I can afford to tell the truth. I won't be here that long. I want to try and change the world for my grandkids a bit. I'm not here that long.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not skilled.
Is that statement on the screen true by any chance, Paul?
Probably on the reef in New Queensland is happening probably because of millions of tourists. No, it's not true, actually. The stomach, I've studied that. If you take the Great Barrier Reef, the actual pollution from the land is next to nothing and so on. It's next to nothing. In actual fact, coral bleaching is natural. Yeah. And today, and I've done videos, go to my YouTube channel, put in, and I use a great scientist who was in charge of Cook University in there, who was in charge of the monitoring the Great Barrier Reef, right? Who was sacked basically for telling the truth, by the way. It's the healthiest it's ever been on record. And bleaching is natural. It's a natural event. And it's come back better than it was before the big bleaching, which I think was 2016 or 14, around there. But you'll see all the graphs and everything, all the evidence in my YouTube. So that is not true about coral bleaching. If anyone else wants to ask questions on net zero or anything to do with climate, I'd happily happy them. Right?
And there is a link to Paul's YouTube in the description. Sorry, Paul.
Was Richard Taylor pushed for saying something naughty, Paul? It's up to Richard Taylor to say.
Yeah. We're going to approach Richard Taylor on this channel. I'm going to send him an email, similar format to what I sent to Paul Burgess here, and see if he's going to be interested in coming to answer your questions and give us some insights. So keep your
a statement and a question. We have oil on the south coast.
I think it means coal. I don't think fracking because it nearly brought down Blackpool Tower. No, that's not true. That's just myth. Let me explain something. On fracking, there's a seismic level. You know, the seismic measure is how much earthquake you get. Yeah, and it's a logarithmic scale, right? And people don't understand it. And if I dropped my phone, here's my phone. If I dropped that on say I'm on the ground floor, dropped it on the floor, that shock would be enough to ban me fracking. It's 3,500 times less than the USA. So in other words, we're 3,500 times more sensitive than they allow in the USA. And it's absolutely absurd what they're saying. And if I told you one of the countries that has the most earthquakes in the world is where, and the answer is Wales. Because we have multiple Wales. Wales, UK has huge number, has many earthquakes a day, but it's very small. You can't hardly notice them. We do get the occasional big one, actually, you know, where the dishes fall off the shelf and things. But we have many minute ones. So and any in coal mining and anything, you will cause some, but it's completely exaggerated by people who don't understand science. Right?
So about the Wales earthquakes, and do you think that's something to do with the old pit shafts, you know, caving in?
No, there are some due to that, but no, Wales has more earthquakes geologically. Time is the nature of the geology of Wales, as it were.
Yeah.
But we have, when it slips, it's tiny slips. They're false, the tiny slips. They're not big ones. Earthquakes, big earthquakes, are when two things are together and they're building up, and then suddenly they go. That's a big one. Yeah. If you're able to move all the time, we have them all the time.
It's not because it keeps flopping its dick out.
No, not because
Wales, you see.
You know,
anyway,
I mean, you can hear. Hold on. So, Advance UK is basically Ben's party, and no one's opinion is valid apart from me. A bit like Farage's reform. Don't you people learn? Well, there's a lot of truth in that, I'm afraid. A lot of truth, because when it come down to it, you know, that's it. And yet Ben respects me for my knowledge. I mean, he's made that clear. But when it comes down to walking the walk, it doesn't happen. Yeah. Right. And don't forget, we didn't say there's no disagreement on any policies as such, except I wanted the net zero, but I didn't leave on that. I've left because of my principles for free speech, that if I can't ask a question without the leader of the party doing a dramatic stopping of the WAG, I've closed the WAG now while we deal with this. Paul Burgess has not understood our constitution. He shouldn't be asking, he shouldn't be doing this here. He didn't even know what I was doing. I was asking questions because somebody, I think it was Floss, had actually said to him, you've got to close him down. I'm not having that. Right?
Yeah.
Simple.
You should be allowed to ask any question that you want. You know, I mean, you should, like in Parliament, they're allowed to ask any question that they want, aren't they? That they want to. Unfortunately, they never get the answers.
They never get the answer because the chair does not. He doesn't do the job. And Rupert's spot on all this. Spot on.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Spot on. But when they tested fracking, it affected the tower. That's what we're up to there. No, there's lots of myths like that. By the way, just to point out, the turbines going up in Wales, for example, and everywhere, are much higher than the Blackpool Tower. Just understand that. And the offshore wind farms off Amsterdam, off Holland, 90% of the diving bird population gone. Yeah,
right.
These bird farms kill. You know, in America and Germany, they monitored it. 200,000 bats a year in Germany killed.
Yeah,
wind farms. Killing a bat. Wind farms.
You mean
the penalty for killing wind farms kill them, and the penalty is £5,000 per bat in the UK, right? And then you've got the infrasound coming in from the wind farms, where
I can
the resonance.
Right? I can second that.
You've got the resonance of some houses. And there are some people in Wales, there's a good chap doing work on that. And I've done a video on that again. And so you've got to look at the environment, and the wind farms are destroying our environment. And now, if you simply said that the wind farms have to have a fund that fully puts the land back to how it was when they've gone, they'd all go bankrupt now.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to do that.
I can second that that hum that you're talking about that you get from the wind farms. I've got one about 3 miles away, see it through my window, and it comes between two houses. And when the wind's in the right direction, honestly, all my windows like this, which is obviously
it's called infrasound.
Infrasound,
low level sound from hearing, and some houses you have to desert a house because you can't live there anymore. I mean, it's really, really bad. And all ignored. The environment is ignored by the environmentalists who claim all this green stuff. Doesn't matter.
I rigged up an oscilloscope. I rigged up an oscilloscope, basically a phone app on my phone, and I've measured it. It's 49.5 hertz, which is basically 50 hertz for your mains thing, for your mains supply. So that's what as the coils going across the magnet, it's obviously going to make the sails waver in the wind, and that's coming straight across here, and it's getting 49, 50 hertz.
Lots of things we can them on, lots of things. There's a question on the screen. Paul, do you think there should be a limit of benefits for refugees? Something like them being able to claim for 6 months. There shouldn't be any benefits for refugees. The refugees, I don't accept them as proper refugees, by the way, but refugees who cross the channel should be put into a camp, guarded camp, preferably in tents, right? Because they might enjoy our climate in tents. So I'm quite hard on that. So I don't accept any of this bullshit.
I'm sure that's a popular subject as well in the college, Paul. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he argues that the geological history of the British Isles, particularly a major tectonic upheaval around 55 million years ago, due to the formation of Atlantic Ocean. I agree, no argument. The ocean, as you know, land moves. Scotland is actually rising. All the land in Scotland is rising. All the land in the south of England is sinking. And the reason is we had all these miles of ice over Scotland, right? And the Midlands is about level. It's not changing much. When all the ice went, the land bounces back very gradually, yes? And so the land in Sweden, the sea levels, it's so bad there, the sea levels are falling because the land's rising faster than the sea levels are rising. Yes. Yeah. So all this tide pictures show falling sea levels, but the south was sinking, right? Of course, don't forget I'm a water resources engineer and retired, and so there's lots of things like that. right, no wind farms, no solar panels. Elon, no, that's what Elon's doing. I'm a big admirer of Elon, but I'm afraid that's rubbish. He's not going to get the energy from the sun. Look, the one thing about the peak demand for us in terms of our energy is a winter evening about 7 o'clock. Yeah. At that time, there is no solar at all. It's zero. We have wind droughts as much as 18, 22 days. We've had in the last 7 years, we've had an 18 and a 22 dayer. Yeah. We've had to rely on imported energy and things. And we are facing blackouts. I don't think we'll get through this parliament without a blackout, but it's going to be a potluck thing. We came within a whisker of it in January last year, and a whisker of it. And we have pay up to 1,000 times the cost of our power to try to stop it, buying it in. We do stupid things. The way our grid is being run is like a child in charge of a bloody Meccano set. Honestly, you can't believe how bad the management of our grid is now. It really is bad. I have, by the way, batteries aren't the answer, and batteries will not back up anything. Batteries are not used. The battery farms are not used to back up the energy the way people think. There's only two uses of battery farms in the UK, and one is to minutely adjust in macro adjustments the energy to keep it stable.
Yeah, the frequency.
The frequency. And the other one is store energy cheap overnight just to sell it the next day. But if you needed batteries to cope with the 22-day wind drought, you're talking about something the economy. You'd have to get everyone to donate the economy of the EU to that just to buy the batteries every 10 years. Batteries are not
from China.
It's beyond. And then people say, well, what about pump storage? And I was the water resource engineer because in my patch floated Norwich in North Wales. And you'd need thousands of those. You'd need thousands of them. People don't understand simple things. And so there's so much, and the public are not to blame because what you're hearing all the time from the scientists, terrible. I was on GB News for a whole year nearly. And one story on GB News was good. The scientist in Reading, the scientist had said, global warming, what we're doing is making more turbulence for airplanes. And this was after the story about the plane that damaged people with turbulence. So I looked at the graph of the two turbulences. One is visible turbulence that you can see. That's been reduced a lot by forward radar. So you see the graph. Yeah, we've got that. And the other one's clear air turbulence that you can't see. There's no way of detecting it. And suddenly you'll go or up. Yeah. And so that showed no change. So in the green room, before you go in, you're in a green room with other guests. And so the lady, a nice lady, came and she was arguing the other side. So I went through with her. So when we went on screen, she was already told and understood she was wrong. Right? It's not causing this. And so there were 4 people on, and I had all of us agreeing, because the science was there. And then, what happened? The professor who came up with this little model study he'd done had a go at me on Facebook because I supported Tommy Robinson and this, I'm extreme right and this and this and this. And people said, well, why don't you actually debate what's there? And I went on and said, okay, let's talk about this, banned. And the next person banned. He kept banning everyone. So he wouldn't discuss the issue, and he's the scientist. But I did a video on him. I did a video showing what it said and so on. And this is a scientist who won't debate the issue, because in science, you can have the best theories in the world. You can be the cleverest man in the world. You can have as many letters after your name as you like. But if it doesn't agree with observation, you're wrong. Black and white, correct. You're wrong. Yeah. There's no way out of that. New work is totally based on observation, by the way. So it looks at observation, explains it. But that's important in science. Observation is king, right? Absolute king. Perfect example is you put up the whole of the world thought the black hole, the Big Bang was the start of our universe as we know it. Yes, all the books said that. Every video said that. All 99.9% of the scientists said that. Yes, and then we put up a telescope. Yeah, the James Watt telescope. And suddenly we see galaxies before they should be there, and so on. And the whole of astrophysics destroyed by observation. So the journalists are just as the journalists are terrible when it comes to climate because they haven't a clue. But they go up to the chap in Durham University, a professor, who's spent his whole life thinking this, write books on it. And they said, oh, you're devastated. You've been wrong all this time. And he said, no, not at all. I'm due to retire, sort of thing. This is really exciting stuff now. You know, we're all wrong. Wow. So what is right? Ding dong dong. So let me just turn this off. So
that's cool.
So what? That was my doorbell, so a delivery. So so that was great. That's a scientist. Been wrong all his life, and he's excited by it. That is what science is, and that's what we should be taught in school. And that's what they should be teaching in schools, nothing else. And so it's the same principle I brought into advance. You see,
but they want to listen.
You can't. I don't attach my ego to my work. So I've had with my paper, I had two people, and one of them really persisted on, you've got this wrong, you've got this wrong. And in the end, I had to spend the time to answer him, and I answered him fully in emails. And now he's realized it, you know, and he's totally on side, and he's saying, you should make more of this, you should publish it there and do this, and so on. But I'm more than happy. But other people, over the last few days, I've made a point. And they said, you didn't cover the fossil fuels. Well, it doesn't do that. It just explains that it's basically 75% natural, the temperature, and about 23, 22% is CO2. But as a result of that question, I've done some work, which is a new paper. And so I love the questioning and that. And I don't mind at all saying, well, that's wrong, you've got that wrong. I don't mind that at all. So you can't associate yourself with it. And some of the people, like on the comments, will say, I'm advanced UK no matter what he says, or silly comments. They won't score with me because I don't associate myself that way. It doesn't matter that I'm wrong. Not at all. Yeah.
Hopefully, you know, you realize that, you know, we've got hope. We're clinging on to hope. I think most people in the chat are also clinging on to hope, you know.
I bet they are. I feel sorry for them because they've been told what advance UK is meant to be, and it isn't what it's meant to be, in my view. That's my view. Yeah. And, you know, I understand that. I understand Richard, you know, is, you know, no, I can't go into that. But I understand people having hope because I felt so much sadness. I had to get, what I found is it's a false setup, and I felt real sadness as a result of that because all my hopes were dashed, all my hopes, so I really understand that totally. So I'm not blaming anyone for staying in. I'm not saying leave it or join it. I'm just saying the truth, and everyone can decide their own thing.
Thanks a lot for that. So
if you ever want to do a story on a particular climate change issue that comes up or anything, I'll always be happy to do that.
That'd be lovely. Yes,
thanks. Days.
Yeah. We had Pansy in the chat saying that. I mean, I already know the answer to this. Can't find it. Pansy. Don't know why I keep picking on Pansy. But yeah, he said that Tesla gave us wireless energy by. So basically, what he's relating to is the experiment that he did, and they always show you filament bulbs on the experiment on these AI channels, etc. And then it's got all these filament bulbs lighting up, but they're not filament bulbs. They would be what he had part of inventing, which were the fluorescent lamp. So you can actually get a fluorescent lamp. Don't try this at home, guys, or in the middle of a field. But if you hold a fluorescent light up to a power line, then it will light up, I can assure you. All right, and that's what he did with a big high voltage tower at the side of him, and everybody's gone off on a tangent saying, oh, look, we can get free electricity here, there and everywhere. We can get free electricity in a caravan as long as you've got a fluorescent bulb and you park your caravan underneath a power line, it'll light up. That's free. But it's true.
It's not a good thing to do. But you can do all these things. There's lots of science. I mean, in school, you put your hands on it when you're a kid of 12. You put your hands on a ball in physics, and your haircut stands on end. You know, you got 300,000 passing through you, but there's no amp.
Can you imagine Wiz doing one of them? Can you imagine Wizard doing one of them? It looked like.
And by the way, my car's a Tesla, which shatters people, you know. But it's a Tesla because I'm a nerd and I love driving. It drives itself mainly, and I get onto a main road and that's it, you know. And I hate driving, so I bought a Tesla because I hate driving. And someone said in one of the chats, "God, he bought a Tesla because he hates driving." That says a lot. But and so on. So, but I don't buy it. I don't. I think it's wrong what's happened, and I think it's wrong what's happened to the motor industry. And they're very expensive to run. I did a video now with all the new rules. Electric cars are 47% more expensive than petrol or diesel.
Yeah.
Wow.
40%.
Nowhere near as convenient because you have to keep stopping every 200.
Nowhere near as convenient. And but in my lifestyle, I charge up at home, which is cheaper, and also I'm fully charged every day. And when I go a long way with a test network, I haven't got a problem. When I stop, I'll need to stop to go to the toilet and have a cup of coffee and things anyway. So I've got a 320 mile range at the moment. But in practice, you don't actually go that far. But it's wrong. What's happened to the car industry is terrible. But they're destroying everything in sight. And this is the whole globalist WEF movement, you know. I made a documentary which is 2.5 hours long on my YouTube, but it's all in chapters, so you can go back to it. It's all indexed. You can go to any part of it, which is a very good course in.
I had an idea, only you know, a baby of an idea, but it was to have have a standardized battery pack. I mean, you understand that it's 400, 800 volts, therefore you wire them in parallel or series, etc., to get that particular voltage. So you could have a standardized battery pack because they're all laptop batteries, right? Have a standardized pack, and what you can do is if the manufacturers standardize the size of these battery packs and put them in a place where they're easily accessible with just bolted on, then you'll be able to go into a fuel station, etc., drop the battery pack out, change it over, 15 minutes, you've got a full charge again, and then you can drive on, and then they'll recharge your battery. Now, that would involve having like a rental on your battery rather than owning the battery with the car. So,
I'll answer that. Sorry to squash that idea. But you can charge a Tesla. You can charge a Tesla in 50 minutes. I mean, when you go in, the charging. I never get it. They charge me £1 a minute if I stay on the charge when I'm finished. Yes. So I've got to be there finished. Yeah. And I normally go to the top. So the rate of charging so high that's not an issue. It really isn't an issue. I actually spend less time charging. I go in, plug it in, no credit cards, it's all done. Just plug it in, it knows who I am, charges up, away. I'm faster than when I used to have a diesel. So that's one of the myths. But the cost of energy when you go outside the house, I'm charging up at about 2 pence a kilowatt hour. But you're paying 70 pence sometimes outside. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I've also got much higher depreciation in the car, and I've got higher insurance, I've got higher tire wear, but I've got less maintenance. So when you add it all up, which I've done on the paper, it's 47. If you charge on the roads, on public charging, on average, it's 47%.
I mean, at the moment, you can charge at home and you get a massive discount, but they can soon, for want of a better word, pull the plug on that and simply just start charging you a normal price for your electricity. And also, why hasn't anybody thought of charging their electric car overnight and then plugging the car into an inverter and running the house off that electricity from the car?
Oh, they have. No, there is a system for that. So
is it? Right.
So you've got a huge battery. You've got a 700 kilowatt hour, 70, 80 kilowatt hour battery. So you can actually reverse it the other way if you want, and there's systems for doing that. So you can run, and that's
charge
actually a good thing to look at.
Yeah, charge your batteries overnight and then run your house and do all your tumble drying and everything that you want to do in your house or whatever. Yeah,
you can, yes.
Yeah, keep it under your hat, though. Don't let the government know.
There'll always be cheaper electricity overnight because that's when the lowest demand is, and because it's very costly to change levels of power. I can go into that, but so there'll always be cheaper electricity overnight unless they just want to puzzle, sort of punish you. So,
Yeah.
There we are.
Simon Dawson. Oh, that's my cousin. He's asking, what about where's it gone? What about hydrogen powered cars? Yeah.
Right. Well, the whole madness is based on hydrogen, because we're going to build up all this excess power, and then we're going to convert it to electricity, store it, and then we're going to store it as hydrogen and convert it back, and that's cost 17 times more than gas, by the way. Right?
Yeah.
Let me explain something about hydrogen straight away. To get out hydrogen, so you have a kilowatt. To get out a kilowatt hour of hydrogen, right?
You need electrolysis.
You need 2 to 3 kilowatts.
Yeah.
Of hours of energy. So you get it costs you much more to get it out than you put in.
Yeah.
Are you with me? So straight away, you're 2 to 3 times the cost before you begin. Now, you can't put hydrogen. Hydrogen leaks through ordinary steel. So if you put hydrogen into a petrol tank, right? Well, first of all, you have to freeze it to get it compact. So you've now got this very cold, -200, whatever it is, hydrogen. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Frozen sort of hydrogen, liquid hydrogen in a tank. But this tank is not a normal tank. No, because a normal tank it would leak through. You'd have what's that airship that went up singing? I've got the name. The German airship that went up and smoked.
Hindenburg.
Hindenburg.
Yeah.
When you get older, you forget. And Hindenburg went up. You'd have that in every car. So hydrogen, and you can't pipe it. You can't use gas pipes to put it through because it would leak out. It goes straight through the pipe. It's the first on the table. It's the first on the table, as it were. So it's highly dangerous. It's highly dangerous, and when you go to handle it or transport it, it's highly costly to transport. And so I've done a paper on it, and it's in the paper called the disastrous. It's a paper I did for the group. It's part of it, because the whole policy is based on building up all this excess wind and then making hydrogen out of the excess. So straight away they've doubled to treble the cost before they begin. And it ends up at 17 times when you take all the costs into account. So there's no future in hydrogen, none at all.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it might be cheaper to split the hydrogen and oxygen atoms, in the water, if you were to use one of those piezoelectric misters. The misters that you get buying for about £10 on Temu or something.
No. To pull those apart takes an enormous amount of energy. To pull the atoms apart,
in water. In water it does, but I'm wondering about the mist. It's already been broken down quite a lot because it's made little water droplets. So then you could.
Water droplets still, it's all combined. You've got to take the hydrogen out. It's H2O. So you've got those two atoms to take out. No matter how you do it, they do it through the air. They don't just, one is through the air, hydrogen, the other one's through water. It doesn't matter how you do it. You've got this power of pulling apart the atoms. And the fact is it's 2 to 3 times the energy just at that stage to do it. And there's lots of other stages needed. So it's dead in the water, right? And what amazes me is how heads of multinational car companies and things, including Japan, we're going to have hydrogen cars. They need to be taken out their jobs because they all collapse in the end. They all pull out of them. But it's no future. There's no future there. It goes against engineering.
I know from first hand that BMW have, because my brother-in-law actually makes the wheels for the BMWs over in Munich. He works over there, and he was telling me about the electric cars. Now they're having to pull them all off at market because there's no market for them.
It's a tiny select market, and it's not the right car for the vast majority of people, right? And the whole basis of this is CO2. The whole basis of this is CO2. What we're talking about is CO2 is a nasty, nasty thing. And yet it's the food of life. Yes? Without it, we'd all be dead, right? Without it. It's what the plants breathe in to make oxygen. Yes? They take in the CO2, they kick the C, and they give off the O2. And that's how the world had very little oxygen once, and as plants started to happen, oxygen was created.
Yeah, and that's why we had such big dinosaurs, because they were able to breathe in so much oxygen that they had the metabolism to grow the muscles. Yeah, I've heard that somewhere. Things like this just stick inside my head, all right? It's like a stickle brick for crap, okay? I can't help it. I love science.
You mean it's not many people know that story? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've seen it on YouTube, but it made perfect sense to me.
I know. I've got lots of not many know that stories. But so it doesn't matter which way you go. The net zero is madness. It's madness in every aspect. And worst of all, we've brainwashed and scared children. Not just children, but it's all started in the late 80s, really. And so people now 30, well, she's just mad. I mean, don't forget, she was I've done a video of that. She was being asked by a member of the House of something in America. I forgot which tier it was. And she was this politician. What science do you base all this on? Oh, no, I've never read a scientific paper.
Never even went to school. I mean, called out of school at 12.
Trust me, bro.
Yeah. That's right. My parents,
her great grandparent was the one who started the CO2 scare in the 1800s.
What? Wow. Yeah, didn't know that. Yeah.
Terrible.
He was the founder scientist. It all wasn't accidental. The whole thing was a PR stunt where they're sitting outside school and all that. That was a pure PR stunt. And that's what she does all the time now, is PR stunts. Right? So, look.
That was for Pansy, by the way.
Sorry?
That was for Pansy, by the way. I just blew me e-cig into camera because he told me I'm not allowed to smoke anymore online. So I'm just e-cigged at him. Sorry about that. Disrupting the flow there. It's not my fault. It's Pansy again. Pouncing around.
So look, ordinary people should realise they're being conned. If you actually look at per capita how much wind power there is each country, so per 1,000 people how much wind power, and you rank the countries, then Germany, Sweden, and the UK are always in the top 3. We have the most expensive electricity in the world. So with the wind, and there is 191 basic countries in the world, and 190 call it. It may be right by one. I know what number we are. In terms of which is the worst countries in the world, according to the World Bank, to have solar panels. Yeah. And out of every country in the world, we're the second to bottom. We're the 189th.
Yeah.
Do you know who's the worst country in the world to have wind? Sorry, to have solar panels.
China. Where we get our windmills from? China, surely.
Ireland's the worst to have it. Solar. In terms of where would you not want to put it? We're next to the worst place in the world. Yeah. And it's just madness. Just total madness.
Yeah.
And it's not healthy.
No.
The real costs are coming in all the wind. Solar's costing a fortune as well, but the total cost is out of this world. It's in the trillions. And if you're going down as an economy because of it, as we are, the alternative you should have been going up. And what matters is the difference in the up and down, and that's what I cost in my.
Yeah.
Well, we've been going like literally 2 hours. I didn't realise. So, oops. I was thinking, if we get an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Here we are, 6 days later. I was like, blimey. I'm slowly by.
It's been. Unless Wizard's got some more questions that he's got in chat, we might be able to wrap up. I don't know, Wiz. It's up to you, mate.
Yeah, I can't see
I need toilet, so
I'm usually the one with verbal diarrhea, but blimey, we've really been going, haven't we?
We've certainly covered a lot. certainly
You got
covered
a
a
bit of
lot.
diarrhea, you have.
Yeah, it's a lot
Yeah,
of
this
things
has been
to take on board.
been-
A lot of things to take on board
yeah,
that you've given us. Obviously, we'll keep our ear more to the ground and see if we can notice any indiscrepancies within what Advance UK are saying. But we're still going to support them. Sorry. But it's no way that reform. No. UKIP. I know that Nick Tenconi is wanting an apology, isn't he? Was from what
Yes.
Paul Thorpe said on his channel. Nick Tenconi is
that.
wanting an apology because we were all about Reform UK until 2024, I think it was. That's 2024 was when Nigel Farage started showing his true colours. So I don't see why we need to apologise to Nick Tenconi for that. You know, unless it's something I'm not grasping. Go on, Paul.
I need to ask you both an honest answer from you both. Right. Given you're in a constituency in a general election, yes, where Reform were polling to be the winners, and Advance were polling to have no chance, 2%.
Yeah.
Who would you vote?
Reform. If they're a vote tomorrow, I get this question a lot. If they're a vote tomorrow, who would you vote for? You know, I refuse to take part in those polls because we haven't got the infrastructure yet. Yeah, but the party isn't internally networked properly, which is what you're highlighting. I don't think the party is internally networked properly in order to get points across that are relevant, etc. I just at the moment they're only a baby. They've only been going 3 months as a party,
Longer than that.
No, I mean as an actual registered party. We've been asking for members for a good 9 months. Yeah, I've been asking for members for a good 9 months. But as for an actual party, about 2 or 3 months. And that's where all the stitching needs to be stitched together, kind of thing. So there's a more open dialogue in the in the college from what I can gather from you anyway. And it's been great to find out. Yeah,
people should vote for the nearest thing to their views. That'll have and that way you'll swing the window your way. That's the only way to do it. Not to vote is what caused this problem.
Blame Wiz. And me, because I didn't vote. I didn't vote when Labour got in because I had just given up, and I think most people had. I think most people had.
Hey, you so-and-sos let this government in.
Sorry.
And that was you should be. You should be sorry.
Yeah.
Not
absolutely.
voting. Not.
Yeah.
Oops. But anyway, right. Let's wrap up. We'll have bladder explosions live on YouTube. I can't believe we go for 2 hours. Blimey heck. I'll feed them at age.
I know. Okay, I'll say bye-bye to everyone then.
Well, it's been a wonderful stream.
Fantastic. So I really appreciate you taking the time, Paul. Thank you very much for doing what you've done today. It's been marvellous. Brilliant. See you later. Happy days. Thank you very much, Paul. Hopefully we do this again sometime, Paul. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye. Well, there we go, ladies and gents. How cool was that? That was brilliant. So, brilliant. Thanks to everyone in the chat. It's been absolutely marvellous. I appreciate you all watching and asking questions and doing what you do. But for now, like I say at the end of every single video, that is the wizard's words.